Hi, welcome to our color day and our 5-day painting challenge. In this one, I'm going to talk about color. A lot of the stuff I do has color involved. Obviously, everything has color involved, but today I'm going to talk about color, I'm going to think about color, and I'm going to explain it a little bit more. And in this one, I've picked the image and the thumbnail and stuff because I like the color in it. I don't do that very often, but in this one, I'm going to mimic the color that I see to some degree. Not completely, but just to some degree. The image I have here today, back here, you can see it has a real high contrast between warm and cold. It also has a high value contrast, but you can see the hot yellow or cad yellow or whatever you want to call it on the boat, and then the very cold blue in the water. So you get a real range of color contrast, and I like that about that. So this is one of those occasions I might mimic what I see or what I'm working from. So I've got my paint out here already. I just put it out, and I've got titanium white, cad yellow, cad red, magenta, quinacridone, nickel, azo, gold. Got to remember these things. Phthalo blue, and I think this one's red shade, and phthalo green, quinacridone purple. No, it's dioxazine purple, sorry. And carbon black. No, that one's lamp black. Got to get these right. That one's lamp black. Not that you can tell the difference. It's just opaque black. Okay? So those are what I'm going to work with here. I'm going to give myself 20 minutes again to do this. I've got my thumbnail up here, which I've already done. You can see how it's similar to what you see there. This is a really important part of this, is doing this, because this is where you work out your broad idea. So this is actually the first step, which I almost always do or think through, and then I go to a small version. And if I really like the painting, I do a big version, and it becomes a big painting. But here I've got the thumbnail. This is my intermediate step. 20 minutes so I keep it simple. 20 minutes so you keep it simple. In this one, I'm going to draw a little bit to start, just a few lines with paint, and then I'm going to start working on it, just to get it set up so I can get it where I want it, get the boat where I want it, and that kind of thing. And then I'm going to try and paint more directly in this one with some overpainting, but try to keep the color high key. That's what I want to do, so that's what I'm going to try to do. And we'll see what happens, okay? Now I've got to reset my timer here. Cancel that one. All right, so 20 minutes from now. God, I only got 19 minutes and 57 seconds left. Okay. All right, so I want to start with a little bit of drawing, so just to get it laid out. And anything will work, but I want something warm. So this is just so I can get things organized. So I've got the front of the boat up there somewhere, right? And comes down and across, down, down to there, and then he's about there. So my figure is in there. Up higher. So I just want to get it laid out a little bit. He's in there. And one oar, a little more angle. And I will correct it as I go. I don't want to make him too much bigger than he really is. just to try and get the perspective going. Okay, so there's a simple drawing. Now I could draw more, I could draw out the water, I could draw out whatever, but I only got 17 minutes and 52 seconds left. Okay. So what should I do? Almost always I tell people to start with the biggest things you can paint, the biggest shapes. That's how you simplify. You paint the biggest shapes first, all right? Now, in this one, I'm not going to do that completely. I'm going to paint this shape first, and then I'm going to paint the shape around it. So I'm going to kind of paint them separately. So when I start on him here, I'm just going to get this going. This is mostly cad yellow. And that's there, back there, into there. Now, depending upon the weather and a lot of things, but sometimes it'll stay wet for a while. I mean, the paint, so I can paint a soft edge into it. But when you've only got 20 minutes, you might not have time to do that. So there's a little bit there. So that just gives me a sense where I want to go. Now, around him, or around the boat, around the whole thing, I'm going to start out with a cold color. And I'm not going to put any white in it. I'm going to use the white of the board, or the gesso. This is a gessoed board. So I'm going to start up there, and now I'm going to change this as it comes down and across. So it's got a little bit of green in it. I'm going to put a little bit of it in here. I'm adding blue to it. But I'm still using the white of the board underneath. There's no white in my paint. I think in a lot of cases, that's when phthalo blue or a lot of transparent pigments look best, is when you just use the white of the surface underneath and you get the transparent look of the white coming through. So it gets darker as it comes down, right? Lighter, gets a bit deeper. Now I'm going to add some dioxazine violet to the blue to make a warmer version of that. Down into here. And you can see, if it's not drying really fast, you have a bit of time, you can paint back up into it to soften an edge. If you're trying to do this outside, which is, I paint outside or on location or plein air or whatever the heck you want to call it, you don't usually have much time to do much painting back in. It dries really fast. So if I'm outside, I'd give up on trying to do the gradations and I'd just go with the hard edge in many instances. Okay, so you can see I've got the high contrast in color, right? Very warm to very cold. That's what I wanted to get out of this. I've got it in there. Now, I'm going to carry that through. This is a reflection of him in the water. It's a reflection of the boat. So whatever's down here needs to be darker than what's above it, because that's the way reflections work generally. So I'm going to make this a little bit deeper here. I'm going to add some cad red to my cad yellow. I want it to go a little bit more, and a little more cad red. Maybe a little bit of this stuff. Nickel azo. Somewhere in there. So this is a mid-tone, a deep mid-tone, deeper. That's inside the boat there. Still wet, so I can soften it in there. Right there. Now, when I did that, my brush got dirty, so to speak. Not that there's any dirty brushes, but what I don't want to do is have that impinge on the rest of it. Okay, so this is black. I want this real strong contrast back here. I'm going to add some violet to it, or maybe some of the quinacridone magenta, just to make it a little colder. Halfway, 9 minutes, 29 seconds. All right, so big stuff, right? Simplify. Now, down through there, that's going to stay mostly light. Okay, I want to make that a little bit deeper. So I'm going to take some of the magenta. I want it warm. Really, it's kind of a dark value. It's got to be darker than that. And add a little bit of black to it. Trying to paint that shadow you see there. Goes across kind of like that, through there, through there. This is where his hands are. That's there. That's the paddle. It's a deep, warm color. To the back of the boat here. Now, paintings are always about shapes. Design is always about creating interesting shapes, so you can't just forget about it. And it really doesn't matter what kind of painter you are, you know, an abstract, a realist, whatever. Paintings are always about shapes. He's got his other paddle coming through there, which I like. Seven minutes. So I want a dark cool, just for the bottom of him right here. Oop, that's too wet to paint. There. And the cool on there will pick up against the hot colors. And you get a high contrast in color. So there's a bit of a gradation in there. I'm hoping this will. There it goes, okay. There. Let's just get some of that in. Smaller brush. I just like that little bit of high key color again, so I'm putting it in. A little bit there. A little bit there. And I make a little slightly darker version. In the water. So I want to have the figure in there, the idea of the figure, but I'm not going to fuss too much because I've only got 3 minutes and 59 seconds left. In there. That's his hair. And 2 minutes left. I think I got too much time. So I'm just going to clean up the figure, a little bit around the figure. Whenever you put a figure in a painting, it becomes the focal point, no matter what you do. So I'm going to cut him out a little bit. Like that. Like that. Like that. So bring that one up a little. Get the oar in. And make sure I don't get these two. Oh, that's it. That's 20 minutes. Okay, so that's as far as I got in 20 minutes. But basically, you can see I've got 90+% of the information in there, right? By treating it simply, by going about it simply, right? Just getting the shapes in. And in this one, I got what I wanted. I got the color. So I got the high key contrast between the blue, the cold blue, the turquoisey blue, whatever name you want to use for it, and the real hot color. And then I've got the value contrast, which I see in here. I've got almost all the information I need. So, you know, in 20 minutes, you can get a lot done. You can get it in, you can get it simple. And it even looks like a guy in a boat, I think, in the water, I think, on a sunny day, I think, right? So if you think it looks like whatever it is, it looks like whatever it is. Everybody else is going to kind of see it the same way. So now, is it finished? If somebody wants to buy it, it's finished, right? If it's not finished, you can work on it forever. I have worked on paintings this size for weeks, right? And nothing more happens. It just goes this way, it goes that way, right? Almost all the time after 2 weeks of working on a painting this size, you're going to regret it, right? So one of the things you want to learn to do as an artist is to move on to the next one, you know? Do your idea, plan it out, execute it. Do your idea, plan it, execute it. The more of that you do, the better you get as an artist. If you spend like 6 months on this thing and you get one good painting on it, out of it, I mean, you know, I want to do a lot and find the good ones. What I always say when I paint is that I always figure everybody's got good ones and bad ones lined up in them somehow, somewhere in their brain. And you have to do the bad ones to get to the good ones. And the first time you get to the good ones, you think, oh, they're all going to be good. Of course, that's when you start hitting a bad patch. But the only way through those is you work your way through. Don't live or die over a painting. So move on. But that's it for this challenge. This is the color challenge. And join me for one of the other challenges. We have the shapes, we have the edges, and we have the design, which is kind of an abstract thing, and we also have the values. Okay, that's it for today's painting. Don't forget to send it in. See you tomorrow. I hope you found this information useful. And I have a handout called How to Fix Your Painting, and you can get it by clicking on the link below. And thank you for watching.